Jacob Roloff is the black sheep of the Roloff family. Matt and Amy's youngest son isn't much of a troublemaker, but his family's rise to fame on Little People, Big World hasn't sat well with him. He was even estranged from his parents for a while there. But, is he writing a second tell-all? That's sure what it sounds like, and if that's the case, we can kiss our dreams of Roloff reunion goodbye. We've talked about the possibility that Jacob Roloff might return to Little People, Big World. This would be a huge deal, because the series is probably Jacob's biggest point of contention with his parents. He's blasted his family's series as being fake. A couple of years ago, he accused them of having forced him to appear on Little People, Big World without pay. Which is a legitimate gripe, folks. That was a huge deal, and he became estranged from them. Which was a loss for the show, sure, but a bigger loss for the Roloff family. And, quite frankly, for Jacob. Jacob Roloff's been spending time with his mum, though, and fans are hopeful that the fence mending that he's been up to will amount to a total reconciliation and a return to the series. But, it's sure not looking that way. Though we've mentioned them before, we want to remind you of some of Jacob Roloff's own words from Instagram. An update, and I have for several months been working towards bringing all of our creative aspirations to fruition. So far, I'm happy to report, it is going quite well. Is his girlfriend, in case that's slipped your mind. I'm working on this next piece of writing, considerably longer than verbing, called Out to Sea, and he is working on a poetry book, among other things, with her own art, watercolor, and photography sprinkled in for good measure. That's all fine and well, but they're also working on something together. On top of that, we have a joint project that we are keeping top secret for a little while longer, but will hopefully get to express to you folks by the turn of the new year. We are working away, and I can't very well contain my excitement. But he's still keeping it a secret. Here is where his, admittedly, understandable, bitterness comes into play. I wanted this book to be something I might have wanted when I was a kid, growing up surrounded by one way of life with no room to stretch or explore, as it pertains to religion, at least. That's an important quote. As much as we adore the Roloffs, Jacob might have good reason for his unhappiness. Growing up on a farm in a rustic way of life, in isolation, means limited opportunity to grow and become a person. It's a fine way to retire if that's the sort of life that you want to live, as Matt Roloff clearly did. But, though we're certain that Matt and Amy didn't mean anything malicious by it, Jacob feels that he was cheated out of other opportunities. Particularly, he says, when it comes to religion. Meaning that he wishes that his family's brand of Christianity hadn't been the only form of faith to which he was exposed while growing up. Which doesn't bode well for his relationship with his deeply devout sister-in-law, Audrey Roloff, what with her line about this twisted generation. Still, faith is a very personal choice, and no one, try as they might, should get to make that for you. Radar Online reports that Jacob Roloff is indeed writing a second tell-all. Jacob Roloff seems to be trying to quash that rumor, as he says that this is not about the past. I wanted it to be clear that this is not a dive into the past but a contemplation on my present situation, my thoughts, and what I expect going into the immediate future. It's about me going out to see a different way of life, and never being able to return the same again. Inspired by Thomas Garrett's song of the same title. Still, our past informs our present, so it's not clear how one can talk about the present without references to the past. We suppose that only time will tell how much of a tell-all this ends up being. Jacob might even reveal more than he intended to,